All right, hello everyone. My name is Bryce McNeil. I am the head of McNeil Industries, and one thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to rank and base each of these three CRMs that I used in my class at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. That I used, sorry, that I use to see what I want to implement within my own industry and my own program. And so to kind of start. I want to begin by saying what three programs I chose. I chose eMoney, Right Capital, as well as Money Guide Pro. And I chose these because they are the most popular, well-known CRM. They have a lot of upside, they have a lot of downside. So let's kind of get into it. So to begin, we're gonna focus on their financial planning approach. Are they goal-based? Are they cash-based? Or are they both? To start off with eMoney, it is a goal-based and cash-based approach, so it's going to be both. Same with Right Capital, but Money Guide Pro is a lot more goal-based, and I'm going to go into why that is. And excuse me, everybody wants to know about customer satisfaction rate, and so all these have one of the most highest customer satisfaction rates within the industry. So you get all around good feedback from eMoney. So to begin that feedback, I apologize. I'm just making sure I get my notes up correctly, guys. YouTube and getting all this together is very difficult. Um, sorry. 94% of users report a great improvement in satisfaction rate for eMoney. And in terms of Right Capital, they have an 8.7 out of 10 with high customer satisfaction rating on Kitchen Reports, Chess Reports, which ranks a lot of CRMs, financial planning programs, and things like that. And Money Guy Pro has a 4.3 star ranking on Investopedia. And for a lot of you guys who don't really know about Investopedia, when you get into financial planning, when you get into anything finance related, Investopedia is where you're going to go for definitions, any type of knowledge. So for them to have a 4.3 star rating out of 5 on Investopedia, that is pretty good in my opinion. And so there's a lot of things that we could keep on going and talking about. I think one thing that I do also want to talk about that will also be talked about later in this video is their weaknesses and their strengths. I'm gonna go with the strengths of each one. So to begin, they are excuse me, to begin, one of eMoney's biggest strength is they are very in-depth with their analysis and being able to view client data. And for Right Capital, one of their biggest strengths is they have different tax tools and they can be very user-friendly, one of the most user-friendly. So when you get into this industry, Right Capital is going to be one of those things where it's like, boom, that's how you begin. Like that's what you're doing. And for Money Guy Pro, they're even more simpler than Right Capital. So especially for small businesses and medium-sized growing firms, man, it's very easy for beginners. They even have a great help bar, a great help tool. Yeah, it just really helps out beginners. And so now we're gonna kind of go into the weaknesses of each one of those. So to begin, again, I'm gonna start off with eMoney. One of eMoney's biggest weaknesses, it's very difficult to learn early on. And so even though I'm eMoney certified, e ah, I'm certified in eMoney and like I've been using eMoney for a little bit. It's very hard just being able to get into it. And that turns off a lot of users because it's very expensive as is. Um, to continue on that line, we're gonna go with some of Right Capital's weaknesses. And you don't really have as many options as you do have with something like eMoney or Money Guy Pro. You don't really have as many complex options. And it's good to have those complex options when you're doing different types of planning. And so to just kind of move forward with that Money Guide Pro, one of their biggest weaknesses, it's not very well versed. Again, with their cash flow analysis and different types of financial planning, they're just not one of the most well-known, most well-diverse, most in-depth programs for you to use. And so you get many different reviews on all of these things. All of these things have about the same review, but I'm gonna just summarize what I took away from it. So just to start, I use eMoney, one of the most commonly used detailed analyzation integration capabilities. It has both dual cash flow and basic systems help, and that just overall helps with again when you're just getting into it. It's very difficult, but when you actually get the hang of it and you're practicing constantly, it's gonna be the trade-off is so much better. But I would also say it's not the best for those small to medium-sized firms. I think it's big for those big firms that really want to focus on again growing. Like once those big firms have access to something like e-money, boom, you could hit the ground running. A lot of people already understand the business, and it's going to be easy for them to use it. But yes, continuing on, I'm gonna go to Right Capital. Right Capital is one of the most well-known options, one of the best options when it comes to financial planning. And Right Capital, it is a platform that allows for you to use very different types of flexibilities when it comes to cash flow and planning out different resources for characteristics that allow for different things like taxes and investments. And so, I'm sorry. And so with that, they have different models that are also used, and they allow for my favorite what if scenarios, or stress tests as a lot of people in the industry like to call them. And with these stress test scenarios, it allows for you to see the worst case and the best case scenario. So let's go back to the Great Recession of 2008. You can evaluate a client's retirement plan and all of that with a stress test, and that can be found on Right Capital. And overall, it's just very user friendly as well. When I was using it, it helped you focus on student loans, adaptability, and finding different things. And so finally, my overall evaluation on Money Guide Pro is also something that's very reliable, very detail oriented system, more commonly used with investors and just simply planning out your future. Um, it's great when it comes to customization and different tools, but in terms of friendliness, that's not going to get you everywhere within this industry. You have to be best at both worlds. Now, they're a really good, somewhat of a middleman, but they're not as diverse as the other two options. Like when it comes to complexity and creating different portfolios and managing those portfolios. And so, just kind of following that pattern, I feel like Money Guide Pro is just one of the best options. And sorry, Money Guy Pro is honestly one of the worst options. I don't know why I said that backwards. Money Guy Pro is probably for myself and especially for this firm that I want to see growth in. Um, Money Guy Pro is just too simple. Like, while it is very user friendly, it isn't as diverse and complex. You don't have as many resources and allocations as you do with the other ones. And coming in second place, I picked eMoney. A lot of people will be surprised. Now, while I said eMoney is very powerful, very, very powerful, but with that power comes complexity. So starting off, if you're a mid to small size firm, you're going to be allocating a lot of time, effort, and energy into e-money. And by then, a lot of your clients are going to go find people who probably understand e-money or even better. They're going to go to those big firms that have e-money implemented already within their systems. So quick drum roll, but we all know there's only one option left. Right Capital is the best fit for growing and small, medium-sized firms. While they're not as complex as eMoney and they're not as vast as eMoney, they still have almost all those things for those small to medium-sized firms when it comes to student loans, taxes, especially for young people. Young people are, even myself, I'm struggling with my student loans, my taxes, managing all of that. Right Capital is there for that intro. It's going to help you plan it out. It's going to help you see how you're going to allocate your funds, move them to its proper places, and just overall, it's the best fit for a small firm. And so I even ended up creating my own stack summary for it. And so with the stack summary within the Catches Stack website, I chose many different things to stack upon it. I chose different CRMs, I chose different stress tests. And so to start for CRM, I use Redtail. Redtail, very well-known thing in the industry. A lot of people use Redtail for advising, and even though its advising is most popular, it provides different contacts with managers, works, and just overall one of the most popular CRMs that work with different all in all different financial planning programs, and they're excellent with marketing that as well. And so for the financial planning part of it, I chose eMoney. No surprise. eMoney provides great detail and planning. Now, like I said, even though eMoney is very difficult, they give you so much information for that financial planning. They focus on investment platform, monies, things that just can be tackled through different client-based scenarios, and they match that with the client. So whatever the client wants for their outcome, eMoney has such a wide range of advisories and different programs that allow for it to do that. And even though it's so difficult to understand and start off at, once you get it, you hit the ground running. So for portfolio management, I chose Morningstar, of course. Morningstar, one of the most popular um, one of the most popular portfolio managements in the industry. Morningstar allows for you to do different research, different performance reporting, different professional advisoring and recruitments. And again, for this type of firm where it's just 15 people, I believe that it's the best because you have so many options, you have so many resources, you have so many ways of creating help tickets, getting your questions answered. And so for portfolio management, I chose Morningstar to be one of the best ones. And for document management, I chose Wealthbox. Again, no surprise. I feel like a lot of these are big, well-known industry, but is a reason why they're so well known is because even though it's mainly a CRM, Wealthbox allows for management to document all of the different functionalities that is within your financial planning goals, and it is very user-friendly and is very secure. A lot of clients and a lot of good reviews say that Wealthbox has been the best for them. And then finally, I chose risk. So assessing risk of people. And I chose Tasty Frog, and that's not a surprise to a lot of people. Just getting my notes back up. I apologize. Um, Man, early on, I didn't really understand Tiny Frog, but it helps a lot of clients early on, especially young clients who aren't really good at taking that leap of faith. When you're coming out of college, when you're finishing high school, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how you're going to do it. So what Tiny Frog does, it allows for the investments to be in line with the client objectives. And so even though, again, like I said, a lot of us college students are very reserved, very hesitant. Tiny Frog allows for us to analyze our risk, easily understand it in different format, and in different ways, it allows for us to see how risk plays a huge part in our investment in our everyday life. A lot of decisions are based off of risk, and so that is pretty much it for my rankings. Like I said, in terms of the three financial planning programs that I chose Right Capital is number one, of course, eMoney is number two, and Money Guide Pro is number three. Not to say that any of these three are bad programs. Money Guide Pro, when you're starting off, boom, you got it. If you're a small team, if you're just an individual, I say go with Money Guide Pro. If it's just one of me, go with Money Guide Pro. eMoney, that's for those big firms where you can put time and allocation to learning about it and implementing that within your systems. Go with that eMoney. But again, personally, for this 15-man team that looking for expansion, shoot, even this 15-man team can end up becoming a big firm and could move to Money Guide Pro. I feel like Right Capital is just a good fit overall. And so based on these, I'm just gonna ask one question for each of these programs. So again, for Redtail, of course, um, what options for customizations are available for reports that you give within clients? And then how do you separate those from the client views? Because I know sometimes when a client sees something or when another advisor sees something, it's like, whoa, what are we doing? How can we keep that hidden from, how can we customize that so that we can keep it separate from the client's views, but we also know that it's best for them? Because as I know for CRMs and advisories, you can't force a client to do something. But I think if we keep it separate from their goals, and be like, hey, this is just something on the side for you to look at. That's going to be best for them. And then my YouTube video is going to be super long, so I'm going to cut it down to one more question. And my biggest question is for Tiny Frog. Again, I'm young myself. How do you integrate this within software, financial planning platforms such as eMoney, especially within those popular ones? And then how do you assess somebody's risk tolerance properly? Again, how do you make those people get out of their comfort zones when it comes to risk and when it comes to planning out their future? A lot of people get scared about the future. And I think the biggest thing that we have to do is assess that and make them go past it. And so I just want to thank you all for listening and have a great day.